just a ride. Whoa, oh, it's just a ride.
Welcome to the Just a Ride podcast number 6. Fuck yeah. Hi, I'm Zach.
I'm Shaiden, the Frosty Duke.
And I am Jeff. Nameless.
He's nameless. Well, actually, I think I'm P-Baw, Pooh-Bah, and Wank-Baw. I don't know.
That has to be it for now on. I think that's the better way to introduce it.
It came out naturally. So P-Baw here.
Pooh-Bah.
Yeah. Today we have kind of a fun story. We haven't seen each other for a couple weeks, so we're just going to talk and see how we've been.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I've just been podcasting, so there's my story.
No, we've all been different environments. Yeah, I was on the river, you were in the mountains, and you were in the basement.
Yeah, I'm always in the basement. But today we're going to talk about, Jeff has a fun serial story about growing up in the awkwardness of teenage years. I think it's going to be kind of fun. And then we have close calls. This is one that you guys sent in about whether or not we were almost going to jail or not. And we all have a story, I think. And then the big question today is, are we plugged in too much? And Shaiden's going to lead us on that one. Plus, we have Fuck This, advice I give myself, and things I learned. So, hi, guys.
It's starting to sound like a fucking show.
It's a show almost.
Did we make a show by accident?
I think it's over. We're done. Thank you guys for listening.
we appreciate
it's
it
been
very
awesome. How have you guys been? I haven't seen you forever. What have you guys all went out in the woods?
Jeff, you had an adventure.
Oh, man. Yeah. I got to... so I've been whitewater rafting a couple times. Well, I thought that I had been whitewater rafting. I was a passenger for a friend of mine who whitewater rafts. So it was cool. I could fish and drink beer while we went through rapids, and he made sure I didn't die.
Right.
No.
That's the way I would
So I went along for a ride.
too.
I was more like a moth, you know. This time I got to go whitewater rafting. Now I went with a group, but I manned my own raft. It's actually like a catamaran on this metal frame.
Cool.
It's always, and I really think I found something to replace that adrenaline that I look for, because it is. I mean,
It is adrenaline.
You're going towards these rapids, and you got to understand it's pretty late in the summer. I mean, I think we had class 3s, maybe one class 4.
How high does it go? What's the highest class?
Yeah.
Class 5,
Class 5.
from what I understand. But for me, never doing it, it was big enough. And
class
you're,
6,
and you're getting sucked in, and you're like, oh, this is gonna be awesome. Then there's that no, and then
Why did I do this?
You're there, and like, okay, I'm here. I don't have a choice. I have no option. I have to figure this out right now or die.
Right.
And you're laughing the whole time, and I did probably everything wrong that you could do wrong, missing the entries that everybody's taking, turning class 3s into class 5s because I'm going through the wrong areas. But what I found out is apparently I did all the right things to get myself out of hazards, and I didn't flip. And we actually did have one raft in our group that flipped.
Yikes.
And the gal she got hurt. She hit her face on a rock.
I'm just going to pretend to be shocked that you took something that was moderately hard and then made it more hard.
Oh, wow.
Just to get yourself
not
out
you,
of
buddy.
Nothing I've ever learned about you would say that that's normal.
And then being the, ridiculous, so imperfect perfectionist that I am, get upset with myself because it was like, oh man, I couldn't hit that water right. So I went and did all this. But then I was like, no, I put myself in a terrible position, and I figured out how to get out of it without flipping a boat. And which is great. I mean, when the front of your boat is you're backwards, and the front of your boat is totally underwater, and you are facing a huge rock because you're getting sucked in, and you get yourself out of that, which really consists of making sure you just row as hard as you can and make sure that your boat stays straight, and it'll eventually pop you out.
Or else you die, right?
Or you flip and smash your face and float down, and
possibly die.
seeing that boat flip in front of me and then taking the same course they did.
Mistakes were made.
Yeah, and I was that time I actually hit exactly where I was supposed to because I was following them, and they hit in the wrong spot. And
so you went.
But they hit sideways and it flipped their raft. I mean, that happens. And,
Nice.
and those guys are.
And did they save
And they
the
were
beer,
seasoned.
or what?
I mean, they're in their 60s. They're seasoned rafters. So
So they're not out
Yeah,
there
that scared the
drinking
shit
beer.
out of me. But I made it through, and it's like, oh my god, I got lucky. And then. Again, she got hurt, but it wasn't terrible. She ended up with a black eye, and we got the raft flipped over and everything was good. But she was shaking. I mean, I scared her. They'd never flipped before that I'm aware of. But end result was awesome. Love the adrenaline. Can't wait to go again. Probably going to go again this later September. Try and get one more trip after bear season.
It's not super expensive, is it? Or is it
Once
cost
you
some money to get on the river?
I've got a friend who has gear, so it's a matter of
that's
gas
always
to
the
get.
barrier to entry.
Yeah, gas to get there, and
So the
your
gear
food.
you need a raft or a...
Yeah, I mean, I've got some personal gear, helmets, life vests, and the appropriate clothing and the
beer helmet.
the bags, waterproof bags and stuff like that. I have all that stuff, but it's you got to get a raft. Well, you got to get a raft. You got to get a trailer. So there's some expense to it, but once it's all bought, ultimately it's a pretty cheap sport.
I mean, it's not an inflatable raft.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
But you
But the
need a
frame
trailer.
is big. The frame would still
It doesn't
go on
have like a big duck head on the front.
I was hoping for duck head.
I want to say it's probably a 12-foot frame or 15-foot frame, maybe.
Jeez.
That's
How many does it
aluminum.
hold? 4 or 5? Or?
Well, the one that I was on, because it's a cat, it'll hold. There's a seat for me.
You're riding
And then-
cats. Catamaran. Okay.
Yeah, and then somebody could sit behind me on the dry box if they wanted to.
Oh.
But it's not really a seat.
Oh, it's kind of dangerous, though. Sounds dangerous.
Zach's mind
Well,
right
I don't
now is
know.
like
I mean,
picturing
you can
a
hold
big
on to
giant
stuff.
cat from like Studio
Chasing your
Ghibli,
duck.
like
I
swimming,
mean, that's what
and people
that
are
cat-
riding it. Like, go kitty!
Follow that duck, kitty.
That cat, it kind of felt like I was riding a cat sometimes. That catamaran is what I rode on before, and I sat on the back, and it was fine. But
Okay.
Rustin's also an expert.
Seasoned.
So,
yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that gear thing though, that is always. I was talking about doing the bushcrafting stuff. I've been doing all the way since over a year ago, and people were bugging me like, "Dude, when are you gonna actually do it?" I'm like, well, "I'm slowly buying gear. Like I can't afford to just buy it all right now, and I don't want to go out without it because I need it." Like,
And as much as I hate technology, God bless technology too, because
hell
these
yeah.
trips, like last year I took a couple week trip, deer season, high country, and my pack was 85 pounds. So was my buddies that I went with. We were both packing in about the same. You couldn't do that trip 30, 40 years ago. You couldn't, without horses. You couldn't just do it on your back. You couldn't bring enough gear
yeah.
to sustain that long.
That
So-
technology blows my mind, man. This is the first like really, really good pack that I've ever had. The one that I've been taking out this season, and it's like I'm over the moon about it. It blows my mind every time I use it because
Has a sink in it.
I can put a whole. It's got pockets. I keep learning new shit. I find a new thing about it every time I use it. But I can pack this thing full of all of my gear that I need for several days.
How many
And it's,
liters is it?
I think mine is a 60 liter.
So that's
It's
even a small bag.
Yeah, it's 60 or 65. So it's not the smallest they go, but I didn't want to get a massive one either. But I can pack it completely full, and if I shrug my shoulders down, the straps don't go with my shoulders because all the weight sits on my hips, which is amazing to me.
Yeah, nice.
That's an engineering feat
Fucking A.
as far as
I bet
I'm
that's
concerned.
cool.
So
So yeah, the river was awesome, but I want to hear about the mountains.
yeah, the mountains were cool. I don't think it was nearly as harrowing as your trip was, but I had a good time. I
Hey,
went
it's
out.
better to be lucky than good. That's really what I learned.
You know what? I agree with that. Actually, that's been a common theme in my life. It was good. I had a really good time. I went out with my buddy John, who I'd actually love to have on the podcast sometime. He's an interesting dude, but he's kind of like an older brother figure in my life at this point. But he brought his two boys out, one that just graduated high school and another that's going to be a freshman this year.
I knew you were doing some educating. That's cool.
Yeah, so we kind of got to show them the ropes, and they were, you never know quite how it's going to be bringing, kids out. Like, it could be, wow, we're so stoked and this is going to be awesome, and they're rip-roaring to do everything. But then I'm thinking, man, what happens when
They are
nighttime
pissed.
comes and they start getting a little scared, and is it going to be a long night of, oh, I want to go home, but there was
They
none
get
of
scared.
that.
They don't have their phone. They can't jerk off without
Right,
somebody hearing them.
start
It's a
throwing
problem.
attitude,
That's
whatever.
what I worry about.
Yeah.
What the hell are you doing? Well, aren't they like 7 or
They're
8?
in the woods. Just wander
they were-
off and crank one out, man.
Ninth grade in high school.
Ninth grade. Oh, yeah. Okay. I
Yeah.
missed that part.
Yeah, but
You
no,
are
they were-
correct.
It's a part of their day.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
For sure.
How will I hide this?
It was great though. We had zero problems other than just maintaining focus now and then, which is I have that problem.
So you went in with dry food gear. You went in with your machete.
yeah,
and your
machete and a
axe.
hatchet, and I got this hand chainsaw, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a chainsaw blade with handles
Yeah.
on either side.
What
which
was your
works-
water system?
Works great. I took a gravity system with a hydro flask filter, and we camped not too far from
that's
a
called
creek.
a Sawyer system, I believe. Is that correct?
Sawyer is a different brand,
Is it
same type of
okay.
deal. Yeah, mine's just a
So
live
Sawyer's
straw,
a brand.
but yeah, Sawyer's
Okay.
a
I thought it
brand,
was
same
actually
as-
the technique. That's
I don't
how-
know. Maybe they invented it.
I don't
I'm
have
not
that, by the way.
Yeah,
I have a pump.
but it's John actually brought the Sawyer system, and theirs is more portable because it's like mine is like a membrane bag, it's like kind of a silicone sort of feeling material with a screw-on lid and then a hose like a camel pack. The Sawyer system is like collapsible, like kind of heavy duty, but they're just plastic bags, so they're really, really light, which is kind of their appeal. But he punctured his and I didn't. So
Oh, no kidding. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so
Good thing
I
you
don't
both
know.
had one.
I don't know. Yeah, if I was to review them, I'm a bigger fan of the Life Straw system that I had, but it was great. I mean, you could just hook it up and then hang it from a tree, and then I just walk up to it and drink out of it like a hose. Or you could put the hose into a bottle and fill up a water bottle.
So how many days did you guys put in the mountains?
We went out early Friday morning, and we came back Sunday evening. So we were there 2 nights.
So
3
did
days.
you pick a spot and continue to build shelter on that same spot, or did you have to move both days and rebuild shelter?
We stayed in the same spot. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was kind of, we weren't really spoiled for choice on spots because it was a really kind of, we wanted to be close enough to the creek that we didn't have a hard time getting water, but the problem is creeks are always at the bottom of a valley.
Did you guys have good
finding
shade?
We had great shade. Yeah.
So
I was a little worried about that.
Was it hotter than a cocksucker's knee pads out there?
No. I mean, the temperature in that area was in the 90s, but where we were at, it was shady enough most of the day that the heat didn't really bother us.
You had
And then,
beagle-sized mosquitoes.
We had
though.
massive mosquitoes, though. Yeah,
Oh,
the
you had some
bug
bugs? Did you have
situation
bug
was
spray?
my only complaint, and we didn't bring bug spray, which was a tactical error. Had a hard time.
So you didn't bring any of your own shelter except for maybe a tarp or something?
Brought a tarp, yeah, and that was it.
Did you use the tarp, or did you guys go?
Yeah, used the tarp, made a
Did you go
shelter.
lean to or across trees?
We hung a guide wire between 2 trees for the front, and then we anchored it to a log on the back end, and then my tarp has a little grommet in the center, and I took that and I made a tall stake, and I ran a piece
there
of
you go.
paracord from that to kind of make it like a sort of a TP-esque sort of a thing. Worked great.
Fun.
Did you guys do flint fire, or did you let them
We
cheat?
did flint and
with
steel.
gasoline?
Yeah. Well, we did ferro rods, so yeah. But yeah, ferro rods and whatever we could find for tinder, which was fun.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Last time I went out, we did that, and it was really wet conditions, and it took me like a fucking hour
So did
to
you
get
guys
fire going. But this time it was quick and
Nice.
good. Yeah. I
Did
felt
you
like a
guys
man.
run drills as far as for them first aid or anything like that? Or
Yeah.
or-
Well, we
or
actually
was
had
it
a
just-
first aid situation.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. His oldest son like filleted the hell out of his finger.
Oh no.
That sucks.
Yeah, he was trying to carve a bowl. He was all excited. He's like, I'm going to make myself a bowl. And he was like 10 minutes into it.
Oh no!
Sliced himself. None of us, he was super calm about it. He just comes over and stands behind me and John. And he goes, what do I do about this? And we're thinking he's asking us for advice on carving. And we turn around and he's just pouring blood and dripping it all over the campfire.
So it was a quality cut. Even
Jeez.
he did a good job.
It was good.
He
yeah.
did it
Need
right.
stitches or what?
Yeah. Well, I don't know that he got stitches. He might have needed them, but we didn't give him stitches.
Well, I know that. Yeah.
So you had butterflies.
We had we had butterflies, and we had this stuff called New Skin, which is just like a liquid bandage stuff. Which, fun fact about New Skin, you're supposed to put it on once the bleeding has slowed and stopped. And we just kind of like cleaned it and had him
Slapped
hold
it
it
over
up
the
and
top.
slapped it over the top. So about an hour later, he takes his bandage off to look at it, and he's like, I think I have a problem. And his whole knuckle was like twice the size of the rest of his knuckles. And we're going, oh no, like we're going to have to pack up and leave.
Fuck this kid. He ruined our camping
Yeah.
trip.
So we take him down by the creek. And I
that's
was
where
like,
he
I wonder
lays
if it's,
to
because
this
it was
day.
like, it looked like a big blister, you know? And I was like, I wonder if that's the New
Drew
Skin.
straws over who was going to hit him.
Yeah.
with the head of the stick.
What are we going to tell his mom when we
It's
get
very it's Lord of the Flies when you get out.
How
away
big
from
was the bear?
civilization. Very big. He ate him whole.
There was nothing left.
Nothing left. Except for his wallet. I grabbed his wallet.
So I told John, was the kid's name. I told John Jr. I was like, hey, just hold your hand that way and make a fist, like bend your knuckle. I want to see. And he did, and it went like shot a ton of blood that was just trapped under this New Skin bandage, and it just needed to be drained out.
Yeah.
And so we were like, oh, okay, good. So we just cleared
And
it
he's like,
off.
"Hey, is it good? Is it good, really? I don't feel like that's exactly the way I describe it."
It's funny. You know, I have suture kits that I carry around. Never once do I think that I'm going to John Rambo and literally suture myself up. I don't.
Yeah.
It seems like such a great idea and such a tough act, but when it came to it,
It's like,
I
nah.
don't know if I could actually do it.
I'll just grab the super
I
glue.
mean, I guess it really, yeah. Super glue would be a better thing to have,
Yeah.
and butterflies and tape, just
Yep.
tape.
Yeah.
I would rather duct tape it up than
Yeah.
actually suture it.
Yeah.
I just bring a Monique with me because she'll butterfly everybody up. Or she'll,
Yeah, yeah.
she'll sew
Yeah.
everyone up.
She'll have-
She's done it many times.
Yeah, she's got so much gear for you that, like, honestly, you just kind of.
I'm not allowed in the woods. The woods is like, don't
Monique
come here.
Impervious bubble
Monique
now,
is Zach's
if she's
first
with
aid
you.
kit.
Yeah. I'm thankful for her, and that's why. But we don't go out into the woods because we learn our lessons.
That's
You have
high
a hard enough
praise,
time
though,
on your back
man.
porch.
You know you've got your shit together if people refer to you as a first aid kit. Like, that's like thank you very much. Yes, I am awesome.
She's also the one that knows how to do all the camping stuff that you guys were talking about. That sounded like how you feel when we talk about sci-fi. I think I'm like,
Right.
oh, is that a tent?
Yeah.
You're like the water device. I'm like, I feel like I've seen that on the internet. Is that
There was
thing where
a-
you filter water?
There
by
was a
sucking?
Maverick station about 40 yards from where we camped, Zach. They had great
That's fine.
burritos.
Perfect. Okay. So, okay, that sounds
They
like
actually,
that's the way I'm doing.
they
it.
actually just pitched a tent by the
I'm just
by
the
the
gas.
porta potty.
Yeah.
right behind the
Yeah.
The
in the
wilderness
construction zone,
Maverick.
right behind the Maverick.
New
I'd
thing
rather
they're
camp
trying.
out by a porta potty than where
They had to
the
be
fuck
out
you
by
guys were.
Sunday. That was the deal.
Well, you camped in the same spot, and you just kept moving down.
Yeah,
the
we
river.
camped
So
every
you had
other
to
night.
Pack up, and that's cool.
Yeah, and it was super, super hot, and you had to find a way to get shade.
And do they have like a plan? They're like, we always camp here, or
No,
do you guys?
no,
find
it would
new-
we would just go for a while and find what looked like a
What
good
is it
spot.
like? You're like
a lot of
land.
beach.
That's the land.
No, there was some really good looking beach. You tried to find places with shade, but it was pretty tough. And by the time we're coming in at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, still pretty high sun through those canyons. At that time, you just cook. But once the sun went down, it was decent.
Nice.
And then I was up at 4:35 in the morning just because it was hot already.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a cereal story. This is connected
Oh,
to this
so-
trip. This is kind
Yeah,
of
so
what
on
I
this
learned
trip,
this week.
so
but
I
not
was
really.
by myself in my own boat. It's just the way the situation worked out. But I went with a good friend of mine and his family. He's got a wife. He's got 4 children from ages 5 to 15. Then there was another couple that had a kid and two other random couples. So it was 17 people, I think, in total. Well, my friend's son is 12. And I spent most of my time on land just sitting back and observing what it's like to be 12 and just feeling his pain of life in general. And it was
Watching
so
the awkwardness ooze.
so he's an
Hang
athletic
in there, bud. It'll pass.
so he's got,
better.
he can still play with these little sisters, but he'd rather not. He's got, his teenage sister doesn't want anything to do with him
Right.
because 12 and 15. That's just how that happens.
Yeah.
And he wants to be with the guys, and he wants to be one of the guys, and he's pretty tall, and he's even getting. I noticed he's getting like fuzzy on his lip and chin and stuff now.
Almost
pretty early.
He's
Almost
basically a man.
like God, you're gonna start shaving like here in the next 6 months or so, and he's he's not full grown yet, but he's still got that. He looks like he should be able to do everything, kind of on his own, but his brain, as a boy, is still 9 or 10.
Right.
So
And he'll never get past his sense of humor. That's the peak right there. 12,
Right.
That's where it stays.
And,
where
the
mine
whole
still
thing
lives.
is, he really wants to be an adult. So he finally gets this opportunity. It's a morning, and you got to understand that everybody brings everything. We got tables, we got stoves, so there's this table. It's about the size of a chest of drawers, the way it sits on the sand. There's a big container of cereal and a full gallon of milk, and he's got to get his own cereal. So I'm just sitting back and watching him. And there's all the adults are kind of up there, not really paying attention, but I'm watching him, and I can just see and remember the stress. I can see the stress in his body and his eyes, and he's just kind of taking it all. He's okay. The table's kind of high. The bowls are there. The cereal, man, that milk looks pretty full, and I'm just feeling this go on inside him.
Every time I make
And
cereal.
and I watch him.
Anxiety.
It's like a square container. It's a dry container, so we can pour. And he pours the cereal in. It's pretty solid bowl of cereal right there, and
That right there.
he's
is
like
solid.
I can see him just like sigh. He gets that done. He gets the lid on. Nothing's happened. He's doing good. Now he's just looking at that milk. He's looking at the bowl. He's looking at the table. He's kind of looking around, seeing who's watching him. Didn't catch that I was, and I could just see the stress going on. And I'm just like, oh my
You
god.
hid that you were watching. You were
It
like,
was like watching the most suspenseful movie and just being drawn into it. like Inglourious Bastards, the interviews in that movie. It was like that intense. I'm so into this thing that's going on with this 12-year-old kid. So, and he's like, okay, well, the table's a little high. It's full milk. So he slides the bowl out to the edge of the table. And he grabs the milk carton and he brings it up and he's getting ready to just tip this full milk, and he catches the front lower corner on the bowl before the milk even pours out and just flips the Cheerios all over to the sand.
I'm
And
seeing
he
it in
just
slow
he just
motion in my
has
mind.
that, and of course I see that, and of course I'm just instantly just dying laughing, and he just has that.
You ruined his whole
"Fuck
day."
me. And now he's got this. He's holding the milk. He's looking at the cereal. He's looking around to see if anybody saw it. Still didn't catch that I was looking. And then he just stands there, looking around, looking all these different directions, and finally, like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to handle this problem.
Do I pick up the
That's how I
cereal?
felt. That's how I felt when I shit the bed.
Right.
Same exact
Right.
What
feeling.
do I do?
And I wanted to help him so bad, but I couldn't. I was laughing too good. I had to walk away. So I
must
end up
have known at this point you'd seen.
I end up walking away from the situation. It's like, dude, I can't handle it anymore. I can't handle it anymore.
Right.
Anyway, 20 minutes goes by. I'm packing up my tent, getting ready to go. His dad comes up, and I just felt, I'm like, dude, I have to share this story about your son because it's so fun. It's just so 12, and I could just feel his pain and everything happened. So I told him the whole story, and his dad starts laughing. He's like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. He's like, so my son got a second bowl of cereal and got the milk. And he had followed me over to the raft, and I did not know he was behind me. And I grabbed my hat and went to shake the sand out of my hat behind me. He was standing right behind me, knocked the bowl of cereal out of the sand, all over my raft, all over him. Milk and cereal just went everywhere. And he just looked at me like I did it on purpose.
Son, the story is coffee for breakfast. Coffee for
It just reminds me, Ben, that you can't do anything right. You're
When you're 12.
You're just, fuck me. I just want something to go my way. Just one fucking time today. He did get a third bowl of cereal.
Did he?
By
And
the
he
way,
ate
he
it?
did. Yeah, and he ate
Okay.
it. So, and then
He's
his
got
mom's
pads
like,
on and a fucking.
who ate all the cereal? He's like, God damn it.
Listen,
Well, birds.
you don't know what I
basically.
went through for that cereal.
And it just,
Cereal's mine.
and the whole trip was that way, just watching him try so
Tripping
hard.
over his feet.
And just, I mean, I had him build my tent to give him something to do. He just wanted to be a part of it. But, he was so afraid of doing it wrong that I had to make sure that I talked him through each step, which he actually learned. And he got to where he would set up my tent for me because he wanted to. But I had to teach him step by step because at that age, you're so afraid to even commit to anything a lot of times. I know that I was.
Did you tell him to twist the tent wire 17 or 13
13,
times?
no.
That was your chance to pass
I
it
know,
on.
I know. No, I did. Well, that's funny. I actually, another story about him, he wanted to fish, and I actually did teach him that as far as tying a swivel on. I let him use some lures, and he just kind of left him to casting. And I'm, again, sitting back watching him, and like probably 15 casts in a row. I mean, he's just, tongue out of his mouth. He's concentrating super hard, and he throws and goes off to the side. I can just see him like, motherfuck! He's so afraid. But you know what? He just kept at it. It was actually remarkable to watch because he just kept at it. He didn't go to... Well, a couple times he came to me and his dad with these rat nests at first, and we just laughed. But I love getting knots out. So Rustin's like, dude, this is all you. And I would get these knots out and send him back. But there was finally this time where he's by himself.
Jeff's not always going to be here to get the knots
He's
out for you, boy.
casting just terrible, and he's so frustrated. And he's literally motherfucking himself. I'm watching him do it, but he's not giving up.
Good.
Finally, he just gets this, perfect cast. Just on a line, drops in beautiful. He reels in,
payoff.
bam,
Angels
catches
sang.
his first fish. Catches his first fish,
And the
on a
whole
perfect
thing
cast.
was worth it for him.
It was, and it was just phenomenal. And it was just so enjoyable just to sit back and take that in and just watch the family dynamic and watch his dad be proud and watch him be proud. And he got a lot of attention for it. And they just kept at it. And then he kept, 10 more times of shitty casting, but he knew he could get that one good cast and it's going to pay off.
Right.
So it was
Cool, man.
That
That's
is
what I
cool.
like.
Really
That's one
interesting.
of the things I really love about getting out, like actually out, like not just to a campsite, but like going out into the wilderness with people. I mean, by yourself is a whole other ball of wax. There's a lot of benefits to that too. But going out with people, that's one of the best things. Is you actually take the time to pay attention. There's not so many distractions hitting you all the fucking time. You actually take the time to pay attention to shit like that and appreciate it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
Kind of brings out
And
the
you kind of
best
carry it with you when you come back. I find too.
well, totally. Yeah, that's all I've been
that
talking
changed
about.
his life. Changed this. He watched a change, a big pivotal moment in his life. That's awesome.
Yeah, and he'll
You're part of
remember
it.
this trip. He'll remember
Yeah.
the cereal. He'll remember everything about it. And
He'll probably love cereal for the rest of his life just because of
Probably
how
not
much he had to
Cheerios.
go through.
do you have a moment like that in your life where you like could not win, could not get it right, and then you finally got it right?
fucking
Or is it
kidding.
most of your life?
I feel like that every
Yeah,
day. When
like that was yesterday.
But do you remember a specific cereal incident where you were like with, trying
My
to
only cereal
impress
incident that I
older guys
remember-
or older people?
I saw a Cheerios commercial, and it was the unsinkable taste of Cheerios. Not a lot of sugar to weight down those Cheerios.
Right. What
And-
they meant was not a lot of flavor, but go ahead.
Yeah, and I thought about Cheerios floating around in my stomach, and I never ate Cheerios again. That's the only
They'll never go
cereal
down.
story I
They're
have.
never gonna make it through.
Yeah, it just
Like
really
little
grossed
life
me out.
rafts.
They are, I mean, they still exist. I don't know how. They must be soft for you when you get sick or something.
Listen, boys, they lower your cholesterol.
Okay, fuck, I don't care. I mean, I'm trying to raise that cholesterol. We're trying to live forever. Fuck me. That's a different thing. All right, well, good cereal story. It's nice to
Yeah.
hear that it grew up in front of your
There's
eyes.
one more story related to that, but we can
No.
wait that.
Tell us.
so
We're not coming back. We're not coming
So
back.
it also has, in watching a tweener
Right.
live a tween life, there was also another thing that reminded me. Watching
A 20-year-old thing. It's like, that's from 20 years ago. Very hip, Jeff. For you, buddy.
hey,
Kid. Okay.
leave me alone.
All right, I'm sorry.
Just a minute, I got to tighten up my button up 501s. Hold on.
We go get you an insurer real quick.
I got to pull my pants up to my breastises.
I know, I got a hole in my eyes out shirt too. No, there also is a time in your life as you start to mature from young childhood to teenage years that you need to recognize that you've been a source of entertainment for your parents, and they will fuck with you at every chance you get. And you need to recognize when it's going to happen.
Yes.
And again, he's
So true.
I feel like you recognize that your father, who's very funny, just gave you shit all the time, and you were like, oh,
He
fuck.
still does.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Zach realized it the first dog biscuit that he bit into.
Yeah, if you'd have realized that early.
bullshit. This doesn't normally
So-
happen to chitrons.
Another story about the family. So that family, they all stay in the same tent. Well, there's 6 people in there. They got some little ones. You don't want your little ones to get up and you have to go take them pee because it's a problem. So we got a pee bucket in the tent.
Okay.
And then you go and dump the pee
That's
bucket,
awkward
clean
to
it out.
hear your
more.
chitrons just pissing while you're
It's
trying to
just-
sleep. Like, please
it's
get
not
it all
awkward
in the
in that
bucket.
sense.
Get it
It's
in
only
the
awkward
bucket.
for
miss.
Yeah. I know it's their kids, so they're like, yeah, all right, I'm used
Well,
to
in the
this shit.
situation, it's normal. It's not that big of a deal.
Right,
But,
okay.
I mean, I watch, people living in basements and homes that piss in 2-liter bottles.
Dude, I used
for
to
life,
turn the
if
sink
you
on
need it
so
later?
people couldn't hear me
Right.
piss. That's how weird it was for me. So I'm just thinking like, okay, my
Fair
dad's
enough.
listening to me tinkle.
I never
What's
got
he
that
judging me
shit.
on this shit?
I never got that shit until I lived in the place I do now, where the bathroom's literally right off of the kitchen.
You can hear your
Right.
neighbor pee.
You're just like, oh.
I'm like, I don't really want to hear that when I'm trying to cook my SpaghettiOs.
So anyway, one of the kids turned the pee bucket into a shit bucket.
Oh no!
Apparently.
He had to.
So that morning,
poo
Rustin
bod.
was less than thrilled.
Yeah, as one would imagine.
Well, this is in the tent, so I mean, they're probably like,
Yeah, he was less than thrilled because that is the bucket that he. With rafts, you get sand on these places where we camp. And you have to wash them off, keep them cool, and wash them off all the time. So you just take a big bucket and pour it over your raft all the time. That was the bucket he used.
Oh.
Well, now it was tainted with poo, and he was less than. And he has some.
imagine being that kid shitting in a bucket in front of his parents and siblings. Though
When you're 5, you don't care.
I mean, I think I would have cared.
I
felt like I did.
You were,
I
you
care
were an
for
only
him.
child. Again,
Weirdo.
Your parents, yeah.
Weirdo. I don't count, I guess,
Your
in
man,
any
I'll
of this
shit in
stuff.
front of
Nevertheless,
anybody. Right in the bed. Darn.
I know.
My
shit,
buddy's got
I
some-
poop wherever.
My buddy's got some OCD issues and cleanliness issues, which is I love to fuck with him about. It's awesome. But at the end of the day, he's like, I don't want this bucket to smell like shit and then try and clean my boat off with it.
Right.
So at one point, it was the following day. He still hadn't used that bucket. We're both standing out in the water because it's super hot, and he's got like 2 inches of sand with some water in there, and he's just shaking the bucket. And I'm like,
This is
what
his
are you?
focus
He's
over
like,
the
I'm
last 24
trying to
hours.
sand it out. I've done everything, and it still stinks.
Probably works.
Anyway, we're having other conversation. He kind of walks out towards the end of his raft, and he's cleaning the bucket out now.
Wait a minute, real quick.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to go to that beach sometime, lay in that sand, and be like, "What the fuck smells like shit?"
Oh no, you have a disposal place that you put.
Oh.
You actually take a bathroom in and
No,
out.
well,
with
that's
you.
less fun.
It's a whole long.
That's way less fun.
No,
Damn
you don't. You don't
responsible.
shit on the beaches there.
Damn
Yeah, you
responsible.
don't do that. That's that's
Good.
No.
Still funnier if he did. My story's good because somebody, maybe you don't like them, and they're rolling around in the sand. Now they got poopy sand all over them. Sand is bad enough. Now it's poopy, so it sticks.
Well,
like
I
a
mean, you
human
want that
version
to
of a
happen?
litter
Just take
box
your kids.
bird.
Exactly.
Take your kids to any local sandbox, and you can get that with cat shit. So.
You're right. That's true. All right. Sorry to
Anyway,
interrupt. The culmination.
so he's starting to clean out this bucket, and I'm like, at some point, Mr. OCD is going to have to smell that bucket to see if it stinks. I don't see him doing that. And it was about this time I realized that his son was out standing in the water about 5 feet from him. And he literally just takes that bucket, brings it over to his son's face. He's like, "Hey, does this smell like shit?" Puts his head right in the bucket.
I would have done the
The
same
kid's
thing.
like, "No."
I would have done the same thing.
That,
I was
in the
like,
essence,
listen,
is
I've
what
already been
children are
scarred
for.
for life. You're still working on it. Go ahead,
exactly.
dude. Take one for the
It was
team.
the most it was super entertaining to watch. It's like, God, we would just fuck with our kids all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the point. Yeah.
I completely agree with that philosophy. I was fucked with. I reserve the right to fuck with anybody's kids as long as we're on good terms.
Absolutely.
You know,
That seems.
fuck with my friends' kids all day.
That
no,
seems
no
right.
shame.
Well, that's the end of the cereal story. Did it smell like poop? I think people want to know. Did it stink?
I never stuck my face in it.
But what did the kid say?
He said no.
Okay.
No, it didn't. It was clean.
But was he fucking with his dad?
No,
okay.
I
he wouldn't
mean,
do that.
his dad literally said, "Does it smell like shit?"
And he's like,
And I watched his body language go, "Nope."
thank you for loving me, Father, and never putting me in harm's
I
way.
mean, the amount of trust that occurred right there,
Yeah.
that probably shouldn't have at that
Right,
moment.
exactly. That it shouldn't. Yeah, maybe that honor thy father and thy mother thing. It's like maybe if they
To a
deserve
point.
it to a
Yeah.
point. Yeah,
Parents do that though, and I think it's. I mean, I get it. As an adult now, I get it. But like as a kid, my dad used to do this thing where I'd come out. I was a major daddy's boy. Still am. Love you, Dad. And
he's a good man.
He is a good man.
I would come out and I'd be like, "Hey, Dad," or "Hey, Pa," you know, and he'd be like, "I'm not your dad." Like immediately, dead serious. I'm not your dad. And I'm like a pretty young kid, you know, and I'm like, "Quit it." He's like, "I'm serious. You just showed up here one day." I'm like, I would like cry. I'm like, "Dad, stop!" Like, you're my dad.
This is very important to me.
He's like, "All right, fine, calm down."
As you guys look very similar. It's like, he's your mini me. All right. Well, now that we've exercised our views on tweenage, goddamn, that was an awkward
Tweeners.
time. Tweeners. Next topic: close calls, going to jail. I've had a few.
Nice.
Yeah.
This came from one of you guys, and so thank you for sending in these kind of questions.
Dude, I've
And-
had so much fun reading the emails and stuff and like hanging out in the Discord.
It's
like,
so
some
fun,
of the
yeah.
emails you guys have sent, man, about like grandpa messing with your kid at his own funeral, like
Oh.
that ghost story thing. That was so, I was like, yeah, I love that. Please keep sending more of that stuff. That's been great. And the masturbating to catch Pokemon instead of using Pokeballs.
That was today's.
Really
That was
enjoyed
great.
that one.
I have
That
not
was great.
seen that one. I haven't been on my phone really today.
What we're going to do with all you guys' letters is we're going to read a bunch of them in a live stream coming up soon.
Hell yeah.
We're planning that for a few weeks out, but we'll attach ourselves to all of those and talk about them. Attach ourselves?
Yeah.
I'm just
gonna
randomly
hook 'em- I'm
spewing
going to
stuff.
wear them like armor.
I'm going to
dude.
wear 4 or 5 of them like
a
Angus wears
poncho.
his Toblerones, but it'll be nice. So closest thing to jail, I had one that I'll tell. Basically, I got away with buying beer for my friends way before I was 21, I guess.
you had a beard at
Because I could
6.
do a beard.
It's from
I
all
could
the
do a
dog
beard.
biscuits.
It was
dude.
dog biscuits,
Yeah.
grow facial hair quick. And apparently like larger
I'm
muscle.
never gonna let that go. That's one of the most fun things about you that I've ever learned.
Screw all of you. And don't send me dog biscuits. I only like one particular kind, just like the burritos.
Like Purina.
No. That's the kind with all the filler. That's no good.
He likes the bully sticks.
Bacon strips.
Those are-
Bacon strips are pretty good.
Those are cocks.
The aftertaste of a bacon strip is not delicious. But so my friends and I, we got kind of in the mode of drinking underage, just like so many other people do, and trying to get away with it and whatnot. And some of my friends would get like fake IDs when we were like 19. Anyway, we go out to the Pend d'Oreille area, and we're just having a summer at somebody's lake cabin, and we're drinking beers and stuff just on the beach. And then we find a bar, and this bar just decided they just served us. So we were like, fuck, I want every kind of drink I've ever heard of. We're getting sex on the beach and cowboy cocksuckers, and they're like, what are you, fucking children? Yes, we are. Yeah. So I got plowed. Yeah. Got pretty plowed. There was 4 of us, and we're all like kind of the 4 best friends from high school kind of thing. And we're driving away, and we see this children at play sign. And I was like, oh, fuck.
Yes,
I
we
want
are.
that. Yes, it's like that's going, like, a buddy of mine are living together, and we're like, we need that in our house. We need that for sure. And so
We
they
all
start,
did that. Did you do that? Did you ever steal a street sign and put it in your house?
I
feel like every young guy does that.
Yeah.
More
Yeah.
construction signs.
Yeah,
yeah.
that
Yeah.
counts. That counts.
I mean,
That counts.
absolutely
I
counts.
actually had the whole barricade with a flashy light and a stop sign
See, that's good.
in my room,
Good, yeah.
Fucking A.
Yeah, I stole street signs too.
but not street
yeah.
signs.
Well, this one we yanked it out of the ground, the pole and all, and I heard somebody and they're like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? So we grab the thing. Yeah, exactly. We throw the sign in the back seat of the car. So there's 2 guys, like it's like a seatbelt for them, and it actually ended up saving their lives. But it's sticking out the fucking window, and we're just. And you guys have been to the Pend d'Oreille area where it goes from dirt roads to concrete roads, and then back again to dirt roads and shit. And that's what happened to me. I was driving on a concrete road, and I'm trying to get away from this guy that must be chasing us. I don't think he was. And then I hit the dirt road, and I slid into a ravine, and I rolled my car.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, and I didn't roll it all the way.
The dudes in the back with the sign.
Yeah, and that actually protected them. It
Did you
sounded
keep
like
the sign?
No.
Where is it, dude?
This is my close call with law enforcement, right? So I roll my car. It's nighttime now. My buddy, who at the time, I mean, he's a skinny guy now, but he used to weigh like over 300 pounds. He's sitting like, so the driver's side is on the ground, and the passenger side is in the air. So literally we would have rolled 100 times if it wasn't for us hitting a pole. And so we hit this pole, and that's where the thing is. My car is kind of dirty, so all of the things in my car kind of landed on the 2 of us closest to the ground. Well, I got the 2 guys in the back.
Why is this sock so starchy?
Well, I can tell you,
Can't
but
get
you
it
already
off
know.
my nose.
That smells like bleach, but it scratches.
I could break it in half and kill a guy with it. So the 2 guys in the back, very athletic. They're both like all-star people, whatever. They're out of the window, the passenger side window, in a heartbeat. I am cut up pretty good because the glass broke, my window broke, and all that stuff. My friend, who's 300 plus pounds, takes his seatbelt off, lands on me, crushes my face and shit. And I love him, and he
Now
knows.
you're Two-Face from Batman
I
forever.
am basically, yeah.
Harvey Dent.
And he fucking dented me pretty good, that Harvey. But he freaked out like a deer in and I don't blame him. We all freaked out. But he was scared, and so he used my face as a fucking ladder to get out.
Zach's down there. Ah!
I was like, dude, I'm not a stair. But whatever, it didn't. It was fine. And then I finally get out, and so we're thinking about this shit like, we're fucked because we're drunk, and I mean, I'm more fucked than any of them, but they were all athletes and going to college and shit. They're like, we can't get in trouble for this. And so one of our friends, who we call him Clark W. Griswold because he's always the guy with the plan, he's always driving the family truckster. He's like, we're stopping here, we're going to look at the fucking rocks, and you're going to like the rocks. Anyway, so he's like, I have a plan. We're going to avoid the police and any help. My car's laying on its side, leaking gas. Fucking who knows if it blows up or some shit, who knows. But whatever. And he's like, we're going to hide from him. And so we do. And for hours, and we're on the news at this point too. They're like, there's a car accident, and they must all be hurt because they're
Was
just
it your
wandering.
car?
Yeah, it was my car.
Like registered in your name.
Of course, it's my car. Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Smart plan.
I'm never going to be caught. But our plan wasn't to not be caught. Our plan was to not be drunk when they found us, so that when we blew, that they'd be like, well, you probably were drunk, but you're not here.
Can't prove it.
And so we're thinking. This is what we were thinking.
I just got home and I was, rattled from the experience. So I took a shot
That's
of
all.
whiskey.
I had to go home. And yeah, that's all. But no, so every time a car would come by, and this is funny, we were like holding hands. There's 4 of us, and so we had buddies. We had hide
All you
buddies.
big jocks are-
Dude, we were. That's
Skipping
that's
The
what
4
made it fun.
best friends that anybody's ever had.
Except for we're in tears. Like some of us were
Bleeding,
hallucinating.
still
We're like,
drunk.
I think that's Abe Lincoln, dude. And it was very bad. But here's what happened one time. A car went by. It happened twice, actually, and I still have the scars. We would jump into the bushes, and like idiots, because we're still a little drunk, I guess, and we would jump kind of hard. And this car was driving by as I jumped into the bushes, and I'm hanging from a barbed wire fence by my skin and my pants. And it's fucking okay. So there's a lot of this. This happens
Were you
twice.
still drunk?
No, not after that.
Damn.
No, I was ready to go home. But so basically, there's a lot to this story, and we went out and we found a guy that his whole house was camouflage, so it was kind of strange, but he helped us and stuff. We're like, this is the only guy in the area, but
Yeah.
That was
and
a
he-
50-50
Fortunately, it was
shot.
probably Spokane up north. He's like anti-government. and
No, he was that
bailed
kind of
you.
guy. Absolutely, he was. But
You
good
lucked
for you.
out. That
Yeah.
could that
Yeah.
50% chance that you guys could have been his dinner.
Yeah, it did feel like that. We're like, fuck. And the funny thing is we walk up to, we didn't want to tell him what happened either. I'm wearing clothes that are torn and I'm bloody and shit. And I was like, oh,
There
we
was
just
a
got
bear,
lost.
3 bears.
We just said we got lost. And he's like, no, you didn't. So then he went, and we actually left, and then he went and found us. But regardless, the thing was, we hid from the police basically all night. We got on the news, and they were looking for us and shit. But the police officer the next day, I guess I didn't skirt the law because we went and faced the music because it was my car. But I didn't go to jail, and I had like 11 counts. My friends had fake IDs, which is like a minimum of 7 years in jail and shit. And they're like, tell us about this. And because I played in a band, and because we had a conversation, and because he could tell, he's like, I have not drank and drive since that moment. I almost killed my 3 best friends at the time. And he was like, I'm not going to charge you with anything. Because, and it wasn't because I played in a band, it was just because he told the story. He's like, my child was killed in a car accident, so this is very, very important to me that you never do this again and shit. And da-da-da. So it wasn't a close call, but it was a close call going to prison basically over all the fucking, or jail at least for a long time.
Well, I mean, if you're drunk and you injure a passenger or kill a passenger, look at vehicular homicide.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's a big deal.
It was
Yeah.
a big deal. It was a big deal. He was it changed my life. Like I said, I never drank again and got behind the wheel of a car, not in any kind of way like that.
Still should have kept that street sign though.
I mean,
I know. I don't know what happened to it. I'm sure they confiscated it at some point. They're like, that's not yours.
That was a literal mile marker in your life.
Children at play. Sorry, that was a long story, but that was
a great story.
That was my close to the thing. At least there were no dog biscuits in the end. I'm happy about that.
Yeah, that's way better than my story.
All right. So,
Can I go next? Because I know Jeff's is going to be good.
okay, no, you go next.
You guys are way bigger criminals than me.
I was just out drinking and trying to kill my friends, that kind of shit.
I mean, I had one kind of similar to that, except we didn't wreck. Like, it ended well, and I wasn't driving, but I was underage. We were really, really wasted. My dudes drove me home. Probably should have gone to the hospital. I had alcohol poisoning for sure. And friends drove me home. They were both completely wasted. The cops showed up at this house party. I was stashed in a back bedroom. Somebody's hand over my mouth and nose, like, "Shut up, dude! You're gonna
Stash the Shaiden. Stash them. They'll steal them.
But I'm going to tell a lighter story than that one. That was 100% on me. I was 16 or 17, and I grew up in a really, really small town in the mountains in Canada. And my favorite pastime after dark was going and climbing up on the roofs of anything I could get on the roof of in this town. Businesses mostly.
it was parkour before.
I was going to
parkour
say
was
Assassin's Creed.
hardcore.
That was
Hit you
exactly
hard.
why I did it.
Hit you
too.
hard.
Yeah, it was video
Dude,
games.
don't say that. Don't say that in front of Jeff because he's going to
Books
hit you
and
with it.
video games, man.
Assassin's Creed's a cool one to fucking think is cool. So go on now.
So
Come on now, Jeff.
I like the way he dresses. It looks cool.
It does look cool.
it's got style.
Yeah.
So my favorite one to climb up on top of was the fire hall.
Quit playing with that awesome pin.
Right
I want to play with
here.
it.
You take
All
it.
right, yeah, take
Take it away from me.
We'll have to explain it later, though.
Yeah. I climbed up on top of the fire hall, and it was right next to the. Quit doing that on the microphone. This fucking pen.
All right.
Climbed up on top of the fire hall 2-story building next to the RCMP hall, which for people who aren't familiar with Canada, that's the cops, right? And
Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
Yep, right beside each other, separated by an alleyway, and the cops would park their cruisers in that alleyway often, and wasn't a big deal, small town. So I'm up there, had been drinking. I'm up there with 2 of my buddies, and I'm up on the corner of the roof, and I look down, and there's a cruiser right down there, and I had just been talking about how I really had to take a piss. And one of my buddies is like, "Dude, I dare you to piss on that cop car." And my other buddy's like, "He won't do it." And I was like, "Fuck you."
That's all it took.
So I dropped the fly, and I started letting the stream like right onto the windshield like a little fucking asshole. And I'm midstream, and the door of this cruiser opens.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, pinched it off. It stung real bad somewhere deep in my guts, you know. And I was like, dude, there's a cop. So I'm like trying not to zip my sausage in my zipper, and we're running. We bail off the other building. We can hear this cop. He goes, "Hey, you little shit!" So we bail off the other side of the building, run into the woods. Woods are everywhere around this town. It's a really tiny town, you know. So we just book it into the woods, and we can hear this officer chasing us. You see his flashlight. He's coming into the edge of the woods, and I'm like, just keep going. I know where we're going. And they're like, no, you don't. I'm like, you want to fucking die? Let's go. He will shoot us. He definitely wouldn't have shot us. No. But my dad was a Baptist preacher in that town, so no way was I going to be taken to my dad's house. Tainting his reputation. This kid was climbing on the roof of the fire hall, and he pissed on my car while I was in it. That would have been my reputation in that town forever, to this day. And now it's going to be. You're welcome.
You probably would have got laid a lot younger.
Maybe
that's possible.
Yeah, that might also be possible.
You were a rebel without a cause.
But I don't know though. My dad probably would have put me in the basement and been like, "You're only coming out to go to school and read the Bible, and then you're going back in the basement."
True.
So I may never have been laid ever. You guys never would have met me.
That's true.
I'd still be in that fucking basement in British Columbia.
Thank goodness you peed on that cop car that day, and it worked out the way it did.
Nah, my dad, he would have been like, not thrilled, but also kind of thought it was funny.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard.
You're like, what the hell were you doing?
what possessed you to do that?
We never got caught. He wasn't super committed. You know, it was like,
wash your car. It's not like you threw rocks at him or something. Yeah.
But I feel bad. I probably know. It was probably my friend Nicola's dad too. I mean, it's a small town. There's only like 3 officers in town. So it's like, every time I was over at her house hanging out with her brother, I was like,
I wonder if he's ever told that story. He's like, I was just hanging out, and all of a sudden it started raining piss on me.
It was only raining on me.
I never saw the kids that did it, but I'll find them one day.
Those little fuckers.
All right, Jeff. I think this question was directed towards you.
Yeah. So honestly, most of my life, I dealt with the police a lot as a teenager, doing shit I wasn't supposed to do. But I was a charming motherfucker. I could talk my way out of basically anything.
Right.
However,
when did you lose that?
There was a time when I was 15.
Before we knew him, that's for sure.
That I unknowingly, when I think back about it, I should have known. But at the time, it seemed reasonable, and I committed a first-degree burglary, which was I stole guns out of a house.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So I had a couple buddies who lived up the road, and we were always getting drunk every day because that's what we did. Well, we were going to get drunk, and so one of my friends, his name is Joe, and he tells me, hey, this family is out of town, and they left me in charge of their house for the week. I'm going to mow their yard and everything, and they said that we can have access into their bar. And me knowing the family a little bit didn't seem too necessarily unreasonable. The fact that they would pick Joey to do it because he was kind of a shithead surprised me, but he was the closest teen and they wanted their yard mowed. So I'm like, okay, maybe reasonable. So me and Joey and a couple other guys go into the house and we go into the bar. We start drinking.
How old are you again? 17?
I was 15.
15.
So there's guns in the bar. Joey's like, oh, yeah, they said we could take him out shooting as long as we brought him back.
This is a good algorithm that you're running here. This is a good equation.
So we took the guns.
Kids, guns, alcohol.
Yeah. Took a bunch of alcohol, took the guns, went out shooting, had a great day. And then that was just it. I assumed Joey was going to put him back and everything was going to be cool. And maybe we probably get in trouble for drinking too much of the alcohol, but I was good with that.
Yeah.
Fucking Joe.
Well, it was many months later.
Like that.
All of a sudden, there's police officers at my house, and they want to talk to me. And I was like, what the? I had no idea why.
Well, you're not supposed to drink. You're not supposed to drink and shoot guns when you're a kid.
Well, I had forgot about that.
I forgot that I'd broken a lot of laws.
Well, then they kind of they're in the family room. I got like my whole family there. I got sisters there.
Oh shit.
Mom, stepdad, and they start kind of asking questions, and I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I don't know what they're trying to get to. Well, apparently I was being a smartass. But I really didn't know what they were talking about. Next thing I know, I'm handcuffed and they're reading me my rights.
Oh.
And I'm like, I could just feel the blood leave my face. Because I still didn't know what the hell they were talking about.
Your blood went into your dad's face.
Fucking kid. And then they started asking me about the house and about the guns. And I'm like, oh no. Like, I was there. I went in the house.
It was Joey.
I had the guns. Well, here's the thing. They're walking me out to the car, put me in the back of the car. Who comes by? Joey.
riding his bike. It was
No,
him.
and he stops and talks to the police, and they're like, "Oh, we were just coming to look for you." And he
Nice. Joey was a real sharp guy.
Joey, I'll tell you what, Joey was a stand-up guy.
Oh, this is going to turn out with a positive ending.
Yeah, Joey flat out told the police, he's like, he was new in town. He didn't know. I knew where they hid the key. It was all, I told him this, I told him this. And he's like, they got back sooner than I thought, and I was never able to return the guns. They're at my house. And him and another guy that was involved also knew. And Joey went to juvie, and the other guy was 18. He went to prison.
Jeez.
Whoa. Yeah.
And they didn't pin it. They could have pinned it on you right there.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
You ever keep in touch with that guy?
No.
Man, honor among thieves.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like he sounds like a good guy, except for the part where he stole the guns and
Well, I mean, but he owned it.
criminal shit and knew about it.
He owned it
Yeah.
and saved my ass.
Yeah.
I mean,
Could've
because
changed
in all
your life.
reality, I was there. I didn't know I was committing a crime, but honestly, I probably should have figured it out.
Yeah.
What
would have happened to you? You would have gone to juvie.
I'd have been a convicted felon. Probably would have done some time in juvie back then. I mean,
been tough
kids
to-
used to go to jail back then.
right.
And like first degree burglary, that's a pretty big felony. I would have not had the life or the career I would have had.
Yeah. Couldn't have got it. Damn. So he saved your trajectory for now. If you like your life now, he made it so that it could be possible.
Yeah, it worked out.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
So hats off to him, really, for being stand up.
So there's another good Joey in the world.
Yeah.
So all cops really are criminals, is what I'm choosing.
In a
to
nutshell.
conclude.
Yeah. Oh, I was.
Reform
Yeah, I
criminals.
definitely just changed teams at one point.
Yeah, we'll have to definitely delve into that more.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I got to talk about this pen real quick. So we're talking about a pen. Shaiden brought this to our lives, and we're all kind of infatuated by it. We've all touched it and played with it. It makes this noise when you move it, and it goes from smooth to rigid. Oh God, it's very nice, and it's a $12 pen. I think it's probably the most valuable pen.
It's pretty incredible.
It's called a crush metric.
Crush metric.
Go look it up.
Oh, it's
Just find a little video of it. You'll understand why we're so infatuated.
Yeah, it's
with
very
it.
nice. And then he put it next to me, and he's like, "Yeah, try and avoid it. Try not to touch it."
I'm just gonna place this temptation right here. See if you can resist it.
I'm
All right.
telling you, though, this is the future for sex toys as well.
You're right. It's like it can be ribbed for her pleasure,
Absolutely.
or not,
Yeah.
or not.
Or not.
Yeah, it can depending on what you prefer. All right, our last big topic to talk about today is plugged into the world too much. Are we plugged in too much? And Shaiden, you brought this to us, so you lead us in where we're going. Where are we going?
So it's not. I guess it sounds like a technology thing, but it's not. It kind of is, but that's not really what I was driving at. So I feel like we've all heard at some point. All right, before I dive into this, because I'm speaking at length here.
Right.
I've been listening to all of our podcasts when I go through to edit them and QA them.
Mm-hmm.
And I say the word like excessively. And I need all of you to start making fun of me for it so that I can stop this behavior.
Like Shaiden for sure. Like
I'm super hyper aware of it now after listening to all these hours of
So you're
us talking.
you're a valley boy.
So
That's
and I want to not be. I want to
I'm
be
tired of that.
reformed. So let's just not do that anymore. like Scoob. Like
Oh my
Scoob.
God.
Oh my God. So anyway.
I do a lot, but I try and edit them out.
I'm
an edit machine.
Is
so.
a little. It's less obtrusive. Like
It's close to
see, I just did it.
Like
I
for
just
sure you did. I never noticed, and I've
Now
edited
you're
these
going
as
to.
well. Yeah, it's fucking okay.
Anyway.
Well, let's do.
So like what I was
like too
saying
much,
anyway, you know what? When you're like,
now everyone's gonna be like, see, now I just
how do
did
I
it.
speak without it? I don't
How
know.
do I
I don't know where I am. What are we talking
without
about?
We'll sit you with a thesaurus.
Yeah.
To know.
We could do a special episode where I get hooked up to some sort of electrode that hits me like
It appears to be.
like
It
a
appears to
collar.
be. It seems like.
That one doesn't work. It's
close
That's the
to.
word.
It's a future drinking game.
Yeah.
appears to be.
All right. Anyway, a little bit of levity before this serious topic I want to talk about. So, what I meant by being plugged in, I feel that we've all had somebody in a older generation say something to the effect of, it's everybody's so anxious and stressed out because everybody's got their nose in everybody's business. Like when I was a kid, you didn't know what was going on in Pakistan or Syria or Russia,
Or your neighbor's political
because
beliefs,
there was
yeah.
no way for you to know until much later. So we just didn't think about it, and life was better. And I feel like there is some
Was
truth
it
to that.
There was no Xbox.
I
don't
think,
know.
well, yeah, you didn't have PlayStation, Grandpa.
I know.
But I feel like there is some truth to that, you know, like keeping your head in your own little ecosystem primarily, I think is much better for your mental health, arguably.
Has to be.
But I also have a personal philosophy that all information is worth having, good, bad, or indifferent. If you can get your hands on information, I think it's worth having it. And it comes at a cost. You know, there's things that once you know them, you can't unknow them. You know, and you have to live with that shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and it can take a toll on you. But I kind of wonder, what's the better option? Is it some blend of the two? Like, what do you guys feel like as far as the merits or otherwise of that?
Well, I think that when it comes to information globally, I actually can see that as a positive. Whether it's good or bad information, I think globally it keeps us in check with what's going on, which is, you know, turning a lot of people to hate the government, etc.
That's good.
But I think that
That's very good.
but I think socially, you know, we're talking, you know, neighbors and friends, because everybody decides to put all their information, all their bullshit on social media, people feel compelled to get involved or have a say in what's going on in your life. And I think that's where the problem, I think that's where the real strife comes in on a personal level. Does that make sense?
I think
You understand what
so.
I'm saying?
So kind of what you're driving at, this was something that occurred to me too, and it sounds like what you're saying is it's not necessarily a bad thing to be aware of it, but when you feel the need to insert yourself into all of it, like you have to be a part of all of it, then it can become a problem.
And overwhelming. And as if you're a part of too many...
Pen. That's too
Finger
hard.
fucking that pen. God damn you guys.
I'm like, what is it? Oh God, it's a pen. All right, but it's going right here.
My train just went off the fucking track. God damn.
Sorry. At least it wasn't a dick joke.
It was my fault. Circle back. It's a problem when you're inserting yourself into it.
When you insert yourself into more and more things, then you have a lot less time to concentrate on the things that really should matter in your life.
Right.
That's why sometimes the whole phrase "ignorance is bliss" can't be. Excuse me. Well, I die.
It is. It is bliss.
It is ignorance is bliss.
I believe that.
And it can allow you to concentrate on things that are important to you. And the more information that you get, it can distract you, but it doesn't necessarily have to be negative.
Yeah.
But like you said, if you feel like you have to interject yourself into all of it, or people feel they have to interject themselves into your life, almost on a social acceptance level, like if I don't say anything, then it's a problem. I think that's where it creates issues and burns people out, and then their life becomes miserable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also think the chemicals that we get from this, like we are still cavemen, and we are still set up to be like, what's that noise? Is it a tiger? You know, and the chemicals to get us away from a tiger are high level adrenaline and that kind of shit. And so now we're just plugged into the internet, and I think we're using the same kind of chemicals like that tigers, you know, you're talking about stress.
Yeah.
It's like, I think we have replaced tigers and all that shit with, that guy said something fucking I don't agree with. And then the same kind of chemicals that were useful when we were cavemen and would get us out of harm's way, we're using to like dox them, destroy their life, have that, you know, I don't know.
Sure. I guess I kind of understand where you're coming from. That kind of goes back to your basic instincts, right?
Yeah.
Fight, flight, feed, fuck, or freeze.
Right.
Those are never going to go away.
That's more F's than I remember.
He added a couple. He's added two.
I added one. The freeze. You ever see a deer with
I thought it was going to be fuck.
fuck. That's
can't imagine
monkeys.
that
that's a common response to stress. Right?
Well, if you're going
That's why
down
you
in an
jerk off
airplane,
so much, right?
when you're going down in an airplane, you're whooping
Yeah.
your
You
dick
said
out.
you wouldn't tell everybody.
Stress or boredom. Nevertheless.
This is a roommate's secret.
Yeah, as life gets more technology in it, it's not erasing those behaviors within ourselves. So that would make sense. Okay, yeah, we don't live a life where we have all these dangers that exist anymore, but you're still going to have the chemical reactions to other things. You'll find other things to be afraid of, other things to be offended by.
I'm
other
offended
things-
by the ending of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Fuck!
Other things
I really
that you
am
think you
though.
have to
Fuck
protect
that.
yourself.
It wasn't a great end.
Yeah, so that actually makes sense to me.
What? Yeah, it makes sense to me. I don't know. Being plugged in too much, I like information, just like you guys both said. It's like, I want it all. I would have gone to the library to find it anyway.
Constantly absorbing information. Whatever I can get my hands on. I have to.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that I have to.
I wonder about, like, you know, when I talk to I have a really good teacher friend, and he's paying attention to, you know, we remember when we were kids and we've talked to our grandparents and all that stuff. It does seem like, say Snapchat, for example, it has a snap score, and it is a way to alienate the fuck out of people if you don't have a high. It's that social score that we were kind of talking about.
I thought Snap Score was just how much you've used it.
I think it is part of it, but they use it as according to him, and I have no idea.
You reach different levels in it and stuff like that, I guess.
I've never seen.
I think
any
Discord
of that.
kind of does that.
I've had Snapchat since
it?
I was like, it was a beta thing,
Right.
You know, I was an early adopter of the Snapchat.
Right.
Take from that what you will, but it's really, people are like, oh, he's using it
take
for
some
dick
nasty
pics and
from-
boobs all the
yeah.
time, and really it's just like me and my friends sitting like, look at how big my shit was today. You know, like, it's just it's like, it's like I don't want my friends to keep this for blackmail, but I want to show them. You
Check
know,
out a poop.
that's the enter
Or dick
Snapchat.
pics and
But I've
boobs.
never seen any. Like I guess. Maybe I just don't use it enough or in the same way as other people do. But my Snap Score, like I've glanced at it and gone, "Huh, that's a lot." It must be because I've used it for a lot of years. But like I've never had like my Snap Score go down and it affect me some way. Like,
compared to
what
it,
about
yeah.
like on Discord? Like you type a little bit or you send some messages and it pops up and says you're on a new level. I mean, isn't that kind of the same thing? I don't know what that means.
That's just a bot. That's just a bot. That's just it's kind of like just so you can flex on other people. It doesn't gain you anything except for being like, look, I'm level 8 because I've spent more time.
I
here.
spend more time on this goddamn thing than anybody.
That's badass.
There's somebody on our Discord now that's like, fuck you, I'm level 12.
I am
You can't
level
take this from me.
Fuck. Hey man, there's worse ways to spend your time. That's for sure.
Yeah, please don't leave our Discord.
It's been growing
wasn't my
so
point.
so lovely. Discard Dookie Slayer, Chris.
Yeah.
You keep him in there, buddy.
Yeah.
Are we plugged in too much? I don't know.
Well, so let me pose another
Yes.
related
Yes and no.
question. If you could go back to a point in your life where you knew less about the world, would you?
Shit.
That's a good question.
That is a good question. No.
No.
I wouldn't either.
No.
Didn't
And
take
that
you guys
goes
very
with
long.
all. And that doesn't necessarily have to be outside source information. That could just be I've lived my life and I've had successes and failures and I've learned something from all of them, and I wouldn't take any of that back too.
Yeah, same.
But when you start talking about plugged in kids and things like that, I mean, now you're getting a whole different realm where it's so common today, and I understand why, for people with children to plug them in literally to a computer, to a screen, to a game, to watching movies in the back of the car, to constant entertainment for the children, really, because their goddamn lives are so busy. They have these kids and they don't have fucking time.
And kids be bored, man. Being bored was good for me when I was younger.
Same. Yeah.
I'm never bored now because I learned how to.
So to that aspect,
No.
I think it's very negative on the literal being plugged in portion of it. You know, and is there too much information for children? I mean, there's a lot. You know, what do you want to? It depends
That's
on
a
the
tough one.
All
to
things
do.
in moderation, man. You got to really curate
depends
that
on the adult.
experience, and you got to make sure that it's not like you're, you know. If the internet is raising your kid instead of you raising your kid, listen to me. What the fuck do I know about raising kids? I don't have any. But, you know, just as an outside
you
observer,
live here,
it's like,
it's okay.
and as somebody who was a kid who was raised, I
You live
feel-
here. It's okay to have an opinion on stuff.
I just said like 18 times, and you guys didn't even hit me.
I just
felt
don't.
it. I felt it come out of
It
my
sounds so
face.
eloquent when you say it. I don't know. It's not so bad.
But you know what I mean. I think all things in moderation was kind of where I sit on all of this. Really, you know, like
Every single thing that we
and the
talked about,
parent does get to
And it makes
decide.
sense. I think that's the basis of the show.
yeah.
The parent does get to decide what moderation is, and I may not agree with it, but you know, I'm that guy. I've been asked to leave meals because I've been too honest with people's kids when they ask me questions about work. So I mean, I've been that guy. So
Yeah.
it's not just computers.
The filter isn't
get
special
that.
for
I've definitely gotten into hot water with some people over, not even just talking to their kids, but just talking to like their, you know, at a social function, and I say something and they're like, dude, why don't you fuck off? I'm like, well, okay, I guess I will. You know,
My bad. Put my foot in my mouth. Sorry about that. All right. Well, we're plugged in too much. I guess it sounds like we kind of think so.
yeah, kind of. I don't know. Like yes and no. I think you just got to be careful, be mindful of the effect that it's having on you. I guess is where I sit with it. You know.
It does feel like we're experimenting on our kids with these things. But I guess that's how it's always been with technology. It's like, okay, you're the first generation that gets to drive a car at 16. Have fun. Let's see how this works.
I'm experimenting with myself on this kind of stuff, like absorbing. I feel like you met me right when I was at the tail end of spent most of my life completely like putting up a wall against like world issues and politics and economics. I was like, that's all just a big pageant of bullshit meant to distract me from the things that really matter. And to an extent, after having thrown myself into it head first for years since then, I kind of still feel that way a lot of the time.
Doesn't enhance your life.
But there's
that
no
much.
going back, and I'd still rather know than not know. And at least now, when I don't feel that I could sit at the table with you guys in this fashion and talk about stuff like politics and economics and socioeconomic stuff if I hadn't taken the time to throw myself into it the way that I did. And now I actually know a little bit of what the fuck I'm talking about. And I'm still learning. I'm not an expert by any means, but I think it's better to know. Personally, I think it's better to know than to not know. Yeah. You don't have to be an expert, but just if it affects you in any way, just go learn about it, and figure it out.
Another positive. I mean, we all three are people that tend to like, as much as we joke around, we like to have nuanced conversation about almost anything.
Yeah. And
if you don't get exposed or get the education, then you just don't have the ability to have a nuanced conversation. I know people in life like that. If they ask me a question, I start giving them an answer, and they're like, "Whoa, I don't want that. Yes or no." I'm not even smart enough to know what the answer was for the question I asked you. Yeah. I'm not saying they're stupid, but they just they
ask
don't
questions
want
like that.
They don't want to know that much information.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, here I am thinking we're going to have this big conversation about a subject.
Like, oh, my favorite treat.
Asked a question and be polite. I'm like, I'm just going to leave, I guess. Go talk to myself.
Well, it's funny that you bring that up because I think that's a great thing to do in a conversation for a number of reasons, is to ask a question that you are seriously looking for an answer. Like, it's not like a gotcha thing or, trying to steer the conversation in the way that you want.
Trying to educate yourself is great.
I want to, maybe you know something about this that I don't, and I would like for you to tell me. And if I hear it and I think it's hogwash, I'll say that, but you'll never, that's the best way to expand yourself. And it's also the best way if you find yourself in a conversation where you're disagreeing or you feel like you're at cross purposes with somebody, rather than being confrontational, ask them a question about their side of things that you don't really know, and just listen to them.
Let them steel man.
Because then they feel like they're not being attacked, and they feel like they get to educate you, which makes them want to kick your ass less for a minute. And gives you
Shaiden's playing the long game.
Gives you a chance to reshuffle your deck and then come and slay them later.
I will find your weaknesses. This debate will return again. All right. Well, we're plugged in too much, it sounds like, but maybe not.
Yeah.
The information is valuable, but perhaps our chitrons are all getting fucked up. Who knows? All right. We got 3 little things left. First, fuck this, and it's flip flops. Fuck flip flops, bro.
I just fucking hate flip. That's not true. I love flip flops, but I hate them. So it's a love-hate relationship.
Okay. They stink for me.
They smell really bad. I have big feet as it is.
I can't convince my wife that it's not. It's like, it's these fucking things. It's not my feet. It is my feet doing the thing, but it's because of this kind of fucking chemical. Because I don't do that with socks on.
This is the same guy that breaks guitar strings with his sweat.
That's true. That's fair enough. I'm a bit caustic.
Yeah. Flip-flop. I mean, I've got
but I'm not the only
feet.
guy.
I've got flat feet. I'm supposed to wear arch supports. I don't want to wear shoes in the summertime, so I got to wear. So it's a choice. I wear flip-flops.
You are fucking.
But I don't like the one that goes in between the toe. But then I got the one that goes around the foot. I got 2 different styles, and it wraps around the foot. But then those
kind of
fall off. Yeah. And so they
make you feel like you can run, but you cannot run.
You cannot run.
No. You will.
Yeah. And then so I wake up in the morning. Now my feet hurt because it's stress on my tendons.
Okay.
They need to make, and they probably do. But they're probably some hippie shit that I don't want to wear. They got to look cool too.
It's just made of granola and patchouli. You can set it on fire and it smells like a bonfire.
They've never had a steady job in their life.
But look good. I mean, I don't want to go run a marathon. They don't need to be Jesus joggers.
Right.
I just want a good flip flop that I can walk to the store in without it. Ripping the little toe hanger thing off in between your toes, or
I'll say fuck. I'll say fuck this thing too. I'm with you on that. I always have to get the big ass ones, and they don't put the extra time in for the big ones. I don't know why, and it's just like, fuck. I've had to buy like 5 pairs. So
Yeah, you really chose your audience well for this one, Getch, because you're talking to 2 guys that wear boots in the summertime. So.
I'm wearing boots right now. Like I don't give a shit about
I
sandals.
have always fucking hated flip-flops. I don't like them. Even when I was a kid, I was like, no. Because number one, I don't like feet. I have a serious aversion to feet. My own included. I think my feet are horrifying to look at. The more time they can spend out of my vision,
The
the
opposite
better.
foot fetish.
You know,
He's got an
I like
anti-foot
being
fetish.
barefoot. I like the feeling of being barefoot. So I tolerate my feet
Yeah,
then.
fuck that too. I don't like
What?
that.
I
Really?
love being barefoot, man. But I don't like looking at my feet.
Although I am barefoot right now.
And I don't like other people looking at my feet either.
Don't look
They're looking at
under
my
the
feet.
table. Don't look under the table. Jeff's feet are out. What about aqua socks?
Hey, Jeff brought flip-flops.
Those
He's wearing them today.
fucking things.
Well, there's Aqua Socks, which is what Nike came out with originally,
Right.
and then there was the ones, the toe shoes,
Yeah.
those are a bitch to put on.
But they're worth.
But I
wearing.
like them. In fact, I started when I was running marathons. I was wearing those for a while.
Really.
Yeah, that was a really bad
That's
idea.
gotta hurt
but
your feet, yeah.
But I believed I was trying to buy into the whole caveman thing, toughen up your feet, because I have really sissy feet. And
Okay.
what I found out, if you step on glass in those, the glass will go through your shoe and stick in your foot. Yeah. So,
I don't know
but
that
they
I've
were.
met a foot tough enough to not get stabbed by glass.
Yeah, I
but
mean,
they're good.
not
They're
yet.
good for like walking in the rivers and stuff. But now they stink so bad that I actually had to buy a new pair of just slip-on aqua shoes for the trip, which were also too thin, and I just need to toughen up my feet.
You just gave me a light bulb moment, man. That might be part of why I don't like flip-flops. I was wearing some over-the-foot style, no toe hook, but just over the top of your foot style flip-flops when I was a kid. Walking on a little pile of lumber at my buddy's house, which is really smart. And I stepped wrong and put a nail through the flip-flop and about 2/3 of the way through my foot, right in the center of my foot. And I went to pull my foot off, and it was stuck because the strap on the flip-flop was like holding my foot there on this nail, and so I'm just struggling like
Ouch.
I had to get a tetanus shot.
Yeah.
My friend's dad carried me all through the neighborhood to my house. It was embarrassing.
I did the same. I threw both my feet, jumped out of the back of a truck onto. It was a board that had nails sticking up, and I went right through both my feet. I was like 10. I was helping some
I
friends.
stepped on a nail too.
and
That's
some
just
stuff.
a terrible feeling.
Yeah.
I didn't get a
So
tetanus shot
bad.
though.
So many nerves in the bottom
Yeah,
of
it
your foot,
is
man.
not a place that wants to be.
I had
I
so
felt
many.
it in the top of my head.
You got a bunch of tetanus
I've
shots?
had so many tetanus shots. The last and the last
I got one on the way here just for good measure.
after I almost died from my infection in my leg. I go back to
Well,
work.
that's less funny. Is infection diet?
Well, no.
Yeah.
But I got attacked by a cat at work, which is a whole funny story.
That's
I'll
right. Yeah,
tell
yeah.
sometime. Fluffy the Ninja Killer attacked me. Just
That
bit
is a good
the
story.
shit
We all
out
thought
of
it
me.
was the dogs.
So I went to
cat.
the hospital, and I'm like, "Do I need a tetanus shot?" And they looked up, and they're like, "You've had 10 tetanus shots in 9 years."
You're probably atomic by now.
You were literally, you're completely,
Because I get stitches
I'm
every year
tetanus
at least once.
you're immune to all the things.
Don't worry, tetanus man will save you.
Actually, when people need tetanus shots, we just want you to come in and bleed a little for
Yeah.
us, and we'll let them have your blood.
And by the way, it was right before Christmas. It got infected. Then I had another infection because the last antibiotics that I had killed all my immunity,
Right.
basically.
God
So I
damn.
had to be on more antibiotics.
That's no fun.
Yeah.
He looks
Dude,
like
that-
Superman. He is
Your
Superman.
your experience with your toenail, that whole thing,
That
you
was
just
tough.
reminded me of that. You're a piece of my anxiety for the rest of my life. Like
'Cause of my
watching you
toe?
go through that. Yeah, I'm like
I
that's
was scared, man.
that just happened.
Yeah.
that just like that's one of those things where it's like that's a design flaw, dude.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's that.
Like,
you
hello,
can just
God,
like get
your
an
back
ingrown
pain,
toenail,
tooth pain,
because of really
pregnancy.
nothing, and die from it.
Yes.
Like,
Well,
what?
what
What?
Well, I shattered it on I kicked a
This is the bike thing, wasn't it?
shelf. No, I kicked
Oh.
it. No, the bike, that was a whole other deal. That was just last year.
Yeah, yeah.
We're gonna have a whole special episode of
Of
Jeff.
my,
Jeff's
we can talk
injuries.
about my
Hurting
injuries. It happens every
That's season
couple
2, just the
months.
whole season.
No, I had accidentally kicked a cabinet in a kitchen, and it shattered the toe. And then the doctor worked on it and didn't get it all out, and then he did it again. And then by then it was just, it was too far gone.
Yeah.
I
you-
choose to die at home. I can let a doctor
my own- I
fuck
get
up
it.
my toenail.
But I remember,
I get it to myself.
convincing the doctor. They admitted me to the hospital, but they weren't going to put it in pick line for like 2 days. I'm like, well, then why do I need to be here? He's like, well, you promise you're going to go? I'm like, yeah, I don't really want to die, so I'd like to go.
I'll do the thing.
I remember.
But I'm like,
all of this
I'm like,
now.
I'm supposed to go. It was a Scorpions concert. Like, I need to go to the Scorpions concert tonight.
There's no
He's like,
one
well, promise me that you're not going to be, up and dancing around. I'm like, have you seen my foot? No,
Yeah.
I'm going to be sitting in my chair, but I
Away
have to
from
go to the
people.
show. Yeah. So he let me out to go to the concert.
Well, fucking A, dude.
Anyway,
All right.
that was a whole.
So fuck-
I don't know how we got
Because
from
we-
flip flops to that.
Because it's just
Because they don't protect your toes, and that's your responsibility.
That is.
And flip flops shouldn't exist.
they shouldn't. So fuck them. Fuck flip
But
flops.
God, I keep buying them. I keep trying new styles.
I think it's funny that
Well,
you
they're
brought
just-
it up, and like you're the guy.
And I've got
you're the only
flip-flops.
dude here in flip flops.
Have you seen these things? They're like my feet have like rubbed right through them.
Yeah, I feel like you
look
had
like
a
they've
pair.
been around
Are those
for a
the
while.
same pair you had when I lived with you?
I
Or
bought these
have
at
you just
Walmart
done
like
that
4
to
years
them?
ago.
Yeah.
They're like $10.
Because I feel like you had that same pair of flip flops.
I keep
You only buy
rebuying
the same
pair.
ones. That's what I do
Yeah.
too. Where I'm like, is this a shitty pair or
That's
the
the
good
only
pair?
pair that Walmart carries that fits my foot. But I actually I did the mail order thing and didn't get a bride. I got a
got
flip flops.
flip-flops.
Different flip flops.
What size are you?
more satisfactory.
Getch?
Between 13 and 14.
Yeah. What are you, Zach?
He was like
16.
17.
I'm
Right?
16. Yeah.
16. Yeah. So we all have that big foot problem, man. You guys remember Heelys?
Oh yeah. Couldn't
Where
have
you,
those.
where you had like the wheel in the heel of the shoe. and
Yeah,
you
no,
could,
they
like,
had to
lift
put a
your toe
car
and-
tire in mine. And
Yeah, that's what
it
I'm
wasn't as
saying.
cool.
I used to watch kids with those, and I'd be like, damn, that looks fun. I want to try it. They didn't make it
No.
anywhere near the size of my feet, man. I've had
They're like,
outriggers
fuck
since I was a
you.
child.
if you have this size foot and you are a child, fuck your life.
You gotta
Fuck your
understand, I
I
childhood.
came out of the womb and my head and shoulders cleared, and my mom was like, "We're good to go." And then my feet came; they were bigger than both. She was like, "Whoa!"
What the hell? This kid's got flippers or something. What the hell, flipper?
Well, I got to say that when those wheelie shoes came out, I was old enough I had to start worrying about breaking a hip already. So I never actually tried them.
This is not worth it for me. However much fun. All right, we got two things left. Advice I give myself. This one is on a Jeffy, and this is the don't be afraid to fail kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's really just it.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to fail in life. I mean, this last weekend was a perfect example. I was,
That kid, yeah.
Well, him.
Oh, and you.
Well, yeah.
You didn't die
No,
because you
fuck you,
didn't
dude. It's all
quit.
about the kid.
Well,
He
watching
won.
him,
The cereal
that
thing
really
was pretty good.
The cereal thing was a funny story, but watching him fish, I mean, it was great. He just didn't give up. He kept failing over and over, finally get it right. And of course, to have him catch the fish and get the reward in was fantastic. But I understand, even when you do it right, you're not always going to get the reward. But failing, people think that if they fail at something that they have to quit or restart it. Failing is just, it's a landmark. Go tell failure, okay, I made it. I mean, just to make it simple, lifting weights is the easiest thing. So, you want to say you want to get 225 on the bench, and you don't get it, but you can do a little bit less. You know where your mark is. Your failure is just your next mark. It's like, okay, that's my best today. What's my best tomorrow going to be? And just keep pushing forward. When I was rafting, in my mind, initially I'm like, God, I'm failing because I'm not hitting the water where everybody else is. I'm not reading the river right, so I'm causing myself more problems. But then I realized, no, I'm not failing.
I'm learning
making
how to do this
mistakes
next time better.
along the course. But what I'm doing is I'm learning how to win when now I've got adversity. I put myself in a bad position. I'm learning how to win. So I was coming out of those by making mistakes. I was coming out better on the other end because I was learning how. If I just do it right all the time, well, then you can't get through life without adversity and think that you've learned something.
What's a better teacher than failure?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. That's why the people I surround myself with are people that have gotten over major adversities.
You're hanging out with a dude that fails pretty much with everything. I've failed at all the businesses I've tried. All the
And I set myself up
Learn
to
some shit.
fail intentionally a lot of times or come up with ridiculous goals. And I'm not saying that you need to be like me, but the principle of life in general is allow yourself to fail, but that doesn't mean quit. It's a marker. You understand where you're at, and then you get to look past that to figure out where you want to get and be excited about that. I'm at this obstacle and I can't wait to destroy it.
Unless you're a video game kid where you're like, fuck this game.
It doesn't mean that
everybody
it's not,
that works
it doesn't
for the
mean that
company
it's
that
not
made this game.
frustrating. Yeah, I was frustrated at times with myself too. It's like, oh God, I just can't get there. But but when in the totality of the circumstances, no, I learned a whole lot, and that just applies in everything in life that you do. Everything in life that you do.
When you're in the middle of failing, it's so hard to capture the emotions to think about it like I'm about to learn something. This is a good experience. It's like, I wonder if there's a tip for someone to be like, okay, remember that in the midst of the shit, like this is probably one of the more valuable things in your life. Could be.
And one of the things I've done myself is journal through that. You know, if it's a long, drawn out situation.
Yeah.
But even just in the moment, if you can recognize that no matter what happens, you're going to learn from it, something from it. Whether it's going to have a negative effect or a positive effect on you is up to you. Something negative may come from whatever happened, but you can turn it into a positive effect to make sure that doesn't happen anymore.
Yep. Makes sense to me. That's a very Stoic principle.
Success is effort repeated diligently over time.
I agree with that.
One of the best quotes I think I've ever heard.
Yeah,
on
most
subject.
of what it takes within American society to become successful is doing the mundane shit over and over and over, almost to a mind-numbing extent, and that's where the growth happens. It doesn't happen in the big magical moments. It happens in the boring times, and that's where we talk about consistency and discipline.
Well, and figure out a way to find joy in that process too. Otherwise, you'll just get burnt out on it. If you spend your whole time looking, and I've met people that do this, that they'll look all the way down the road as far as they can imagine to where they want to be, and they try to keep their eyes there. They're like, oh, everything I'm doing here is for that, it's for that, it's for that, it's for that, and you're just going to get burned out doing that. I think, I mean, it's good to have a goal in mind, but it's not going to matter once you get there. It's just going to be further down the road. It's going to have evolved by the time you reach it. So don't rob yourself of the journey just because you're doing the mundane. And it doesn't mean you have to be excited about every fucking mundane thing that you do, but don't hate it and look at it as, oh, it's just some shit I have to swallow to get there, because then you're going to spend most of your life just thinking that you're eating shit trying to get somewhere else.
Totally.
And learn to laugh at yourself when you fuck something up.
Yeah,
because it's funny.
It's man. And don't tear people down for failing either. You fucks.
I know, right? I know.
Because that's the main reason we hate failing. I mean, we get down on ourselves, but you get over that pretty quick. But when you fail, and other people are like, oh, see, you said you were going to do that thing and you fucked it up, and now look where you are. And it's like, oh yeah, I guess maybe so. Like, fuck those people.
A lot of people want to see you fail. Yeah, fuck the haters. We brought the word back
Full
again.
Circle.
I used that word yesterday for a thing on the SkatCast for your multipass folk.
See, what if we had retired it?
I know we can't really.
But
it was a joke
like
on that though. The whole point was like, oh, you're a hater because you disagree with me. Yeah. All right, last things I learned, and this is Shaiden. This is called The Line in Saudi Arabia. And this is fucking pretty interesting.
I don't know shit about it, but it's cool. It seems cool. I don't know. I want to get your guys' opinion.
I love that. It's interesting that it's Saudi Arabia, and not like what's the place right
they
next
got
to
a lot
it?
of money. They're really just friends with the United States. Friends,
right?
With air quotes, because they need our help defending themselves if they ever get attacked.
Right. I'm trying to think of.
They got lots of money to do shit.
Yeah, they do. Lots. I'm trying to think of the Middle Eastern country that has done all these crazy things with. Maybe it's a city, but it's not Doha. It's
Dubai.
Qatar. Yeah, Dubai.
Thank
you. Dubai. I was surprised that it wasn't.
They made
Dubai.
an island that looks like a palm tree.
Yeah, they made
from
it
the air. It's shaped like a palm tree.
Yeah, they made an island that looks like the world. Right.
Yeah. It's cool.
All the countries. Yeah.
So Saudi Arabia, I just stumbled across this week. Go figure.
No way.
Things I learned this week.
It works perfect.
But so Saudi Arabia unveiled their plans, and they didn't, as far as I saw, they didn't say when they're planning to start this. So maybe it's just a pipe dream, but I hope not, because I kind of want to see
an oil pipe dream.
But so they're calling it. They're trying to take the footprint of a city and squish it into a line that is only 200 meters wide, but it stretches for 170 kilometers and 500 meters up into the air.
That's crazy. So it's a bunch of skyscrapers.
So it's basically like one long skyscraper.
It sounds like you could, if the wind came a little too hard, it'd just blow the whole city over.
I know.
Did they say what the population was supposed to be? Maybe I missed that. Do they have to have a max population?
Yeah,
right?
I'm sure that they said 9 million people.
9 million people?
9 million people that they're planning it can accommodate.
Wow. That's going to be some infrastructure.
And the footprint, the actual footprint on the land is like 34 square kilometers, essentially, is what it's going to take to run this thing, as far as the way that they've outlined it. You know, who knows?
Until it falls
plans
over.
versus reality. Yeah. But it's pretty cool. Like you should go look up some of the concept, like the videos and like art and CG that they made of it. But it's they coated the entire out thing in like mirror glass, so like the landscape just kind of looks like it continues through it when you're looking at it, so it's like a little mirage. But so they want to position it to where it's close to all the cool outdoor shit that you want to do, so you can leave the line and go out into the nature, and
you're not allowed to leave,
and it's like right there. That's what I was wondering. I'm like, can you leave the line ever?
It sounds like it's going there, because there'll be central planners. They're like, well, we invested in this, so you do what we tell you if you want to be part of it.
You have to stay in here. But they're saying that every facility that you could need, when no matter where you live in there, is supposed to be about a 5-minute walk or less from where you live. And if you want to visit somebody at the other end of the line, they're going to have these like super fast transit lines that you can get from one end to the other in 20 minutes. Is what they're saying.
See, that kind of central planning sounds good, where it's just, let's get the engineers together to make it so that things work real good. I'm okay with.
It sounds fucking awesome. I'm just wondering, like, what's it gonna, like, it sounds like it's gonna turn into a cyberpunk dystopian thing to me, right? Because like, so picture a city.
People suck at these
a city
things.
of 9 million people. You've been to a city of 9 million people?
I have.
So have I.
9 million people living harmoniously with each other sounds.
Yeah.
That's not the city that I went to with 9 million people.
Have you watched any of these reality shows? You can't get 8 people living in the same house together without incredible drama. This is not going to happen.
Like, what about your... And I mean, I don't know, like cities, they kind of work this way anyway, and they're not perfect organisms, but like, I'm just trying to imagine a city of 9 million people plus a city of 9 million people's homeless problem, and squishing it into a 34 square kilometer box that sits in the middle of the Saudi Arabian desert. Like, I want it to happen, because I want to see what this experiment turns into, man. Like,
a lot of murder is what it's going to turn into.
Well, it sounds like Dredd or something. It sounds like Judge Dredd.
It sounds like something that, like, the only way that it could maybe work is if it's like you have to like earn your way in there, Like, it's not just like
you have to have money in the bank.
People don't like their neighbors,
which then makes
now.
it shitty.
Which is Canada. Canada's like that. You can't move here unless you got 10 grand in the bank.
Yeah.
Canada's.
What'd you say, Jeff?
People don't like their neighbors now.
I know. Can you imagine if you're stacked on top of 18 of them within 5 minutes? That's pretty much every apartment complex I've ever lived in, though, to be fair. So.
Yeah. It would be tough. And when you look at mega cities like Tokyo or something, or Seoul, where you're talking about tens of millions
though,
of
like,
people.
that's really going to be, like, it's nice to say, oh, it houses 9 million people. Which 9 million people? Like, how much does it cost to live in the line?
Yeah. That's going to be a question. Well, there's going to be a movie out in the future about the line was probably not a bad idea.
I mean, you're talking about apartment life. I mean, half my career was spent trying to get neighbors to
shut the fuck up,
hate each other in peace. Because, I don't know why there's a requirement that anybody that calls the police has to live on the top story of any apartment complex to begin with. I'm not sure why that happens.
Should be the one that
they all have like
police called on
kids.
them, because the upstairs neighbors are always the shitty ones.
Well,
they're
they
stomping
do.
around, making noise.
Up there.
Well, they do, but they're the ones that I have to go contact.
I see.
That's what everybody had to contact. Had to live on the 3rd floor, or you just you didn't have to respond to the 1st floor.
Yeah, if you came to my house, you'd be going to the 2nd floor for sure.
Well, speaking of contact, you can contact us at justaridepod@gmail.com.
It's just a ride pod.
Just a ride pod.
You guys ever riding your ride pod?
I fucking want to get a ride pod.
My ride pod here, dude. It's just
my ride pod is broken and it needs a new engine.
Like the 3rd one.
Yeah. Or you can also reach out to us at info@SkatCast.com. And if you guys are patrons, you can always reach out to us through there. You guys know how to get a hold of us, all that good stuff.
Find us.
Thank you to all the social media people that are helping us. Don, the Shitbox Wizard, and Chris, our Discord Dookie Slayer. And so many of you other ones. I'm going to have to start saying all your names and make a whole podcast just on thanking you guys. But thank you for it. Whatever you guys are doing, it is fucking working. We've had 4 consecutive record weeks that have been kind of mind-blowing for all of us doing this stuff. It's been a lot of fun. So, thanks for joining us. I've been Zach.
I have been Shaiden.
And I have been Jeff.
He has been Jeff, and he still will be afterwards.
We will prevail and continue to be ourselves.
That's right. And we'll talk at you in the future.
Which is probably more than what you want.
Yeah. we can't stop being ourselves. We're sorry.
No, it's not going to happen. I was doing my little catchphrase, and you talked right in the middle.
Catch your phrase.
Here's my catchphrase. We'll talk to you in the future. Present. Future present.
Future present.
Bye.
It's just a ride. Whoa, oh, it's just a ride.
Bong.